Hello and welcome to the Garron Plateau. I'm here in North Antrim where the largest blanket bog in Northern Ireland can be found. So the blanket bog behind me here is a large area of peat which has been formed by a little plant that grows here in the ground below us. It's a plant known as the sphagnum moss, and in the pools beside us here, this is where the sphagnum moss lives, and eventually it grows up, it builds up on top of itself, and it forms that layer of peat that builds year on year. It's taken tens of thousands of years for this blanket bog to form. The plants that live here are adapted to the wetland conditions here for their survival. What makes this place so special is that it's an amazing place for wildlife. It's also a protected area. It's an area of special scientific interest here in Northern Ireland, and it's a special area of conservation protected under the European law. And that leaves it home to rare and protected species like hen harrier, merlin, red grouse, curlew, viviparous lizard and marsh saxifrage. Peatlands are very useful in combating climate change. Peat stores carbon, and when we drain the peat, it dries out, it starts to erode. And what happens whenever the peat is bare is that it begins to run off the peatland into the water, and it starts to create an issue with water quality. Not only that, but dried out peatland leaches carbon back into the atmosphere. Blanket bog is a habitat that exists on the uplands and the higher areas of Northern Ireland. So the importance of looking after peatlands in the uplands is that they're linked to the lowland lakes such as Lough Neagh. When peatlands function well up here, they're holding carbon, but they're also holding water, and they're allowing the water to be held back and to be released slowly into the rivers and down into Lough Neagh. And how they hold that water is through the sphagnum moss that grows in the bog. It absorbs the water, it keeps it there, and it filters it through very slowly into the lakes below. So the quality of that water on its way down into Lough Neagh is looked after by having pristine bogs that do that job for the loch. Peatlands all over the world are in trouble, and they are very useful in combating climate change. So what happens here is that the drains have been blocked by putting dams in, which holds the water back, creates these little pools, and the sphagnum moss then begins to grow in these little pools, and it then helps the bog to reform in the areas where the pools exist. And that helps to re-wet the whole bog and keep it healthy. And that was a partnership project between Northern Ireland Water, Northern Ireland Environment Agency, the RSPB and others. So across the whole of Northern Ireland, 12% of the land surface is covered by peatland, but only 14% of that peatland is in good condition. Unfortunately, only 1% of the peatland has been restored in Northern Ireland over the last 30 years. So what happened here on the Garron Plateau was a great example of what we can do to restore peat across the whole of Northern Ireland.